correct, guys, goes past just plotting points. It's probably the most important part of chapter 4 is that once we make these lines, coming up with the lines are going to be the easy part. Your calculator is going to do it. But the interpretation on the slope and the y-intercept are going to be the most difficult part of chapter 4 in your statistics class. And this packet's kind of getting us there. So the first half that we're going to do today, scenario 1 and scenario 2, are just kind of making sure we understand where lines come from, the different parts of the line. But the second part that we do on Wednesday is going to be the most important. We're going to actually be interpreting what exactly does the slope mean, what exactly does the y-intercept mean. So let's look what's going on in scenario 1. So suppose Joe makes a run, I need to take, that's a typo. Suppose Joe runs a plumbing business. The following table gives examples of what he charges customers based on the number of hours he worked. So we have 0 to 6 hours. Look at, even if he has not worked any hours, he's still charging them $50. And then for a random amount of hours, he has these charges. So with that amount of information, guys, we're going to be able to calculate what exactly he charges per hour. So let's look at number 1. Why do you suppose there's a $50 charge when he doesn't even work 0 hours for you? A what fee? A dispatch fee. Do you guys know what that means? It means I had to come to your house, right? And so that's going to be no matter what. If he comes to your house like, oh, I don't need you. He's like, well, I just drove out here. I'm going to charge you $50. Or no matter what he finds, whether you choose to use him or not, you had him come out here. So it's called a dispatch or call out fee, okay? Meaning just the fact that they came to you is enough to charge you something. All right, so that's kind of like your starting amount. All right, so after that $50, however many hours he's been there, he's going to start charging you something. So my question for you on number 2, guys, is can you figure out how much he charges per hour based on those numbers? What's the easiest thing to go look at based on those hours? Because we could use kind of like a slope formula, you know, a difference in y over the difference in x's. But do you guys notice in the hours that we're given, there is a gap where it's literally just 1 hour? You guys see that? That gap of 1 hour occurs where, that they told us? 5 to 6, right? So going from 5 hours work to you to 6 hours work to you, what was just the difference in the amount he charged you? $30. Everybody agree with that? So, and it says show your calculations. You can just say, okay, 230 minus $200, and we'll just make a note. This was 6 hours. This was 5 hours, right? We're showing that gap of 1 hour was a charge of $30. So how much does he charge? Let's make sure we have the units, $30 per hour. And what's great about that is you now can calculate how much, you know, he's going to charge you, because you know, hey, I know I'm getting $50 no matter what, and then on top of that, it's going to be $30 per hour that he's here. So the next thing they want us to do is graph it to kind of see this relationship that's going to form. So it says, using hours worked for your x values. So this chart, guys, these are your x's, these are your y's. They want us to plot these ordered pairs, just like we did on the previous topic earlier today. So your hours worked are going to be your x-axis here, and we're going to label that here in a second. Your amount charged are going to be your y values here. We'll label those in a second. And they want us to plot the points in the table. Honestly, the hardest part is usually coming up with the right scale, and we told you that, so we're a little bit nice, okay? So notice here it says start your y-axis at 0, so we are going to start at 0, but then each of these baby grid lines are 10s, okay? So it's going to be $10, so once we get here at this thicker grid line, we know we're at 50, and that's what I'm going to label, okay? So we go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so I'm going to label this 50. You know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I'm going to label that 100. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I'm going to label that 150, and then the top will just be 200. Okay? On the left-hand side, I'm going to just write amount charged. And it's in dollars, right? That's my dollar symbol. I know it looks kind of sloppy sideways. On the x x-axis, it told us in our hint for the x values start at 0. So this is 0 here. I guess we could label 0. But as we move, the grid lines will just be 0.2 hours or a fifth of an hour, which is nice because if you count over 5, that's just 1 hour. So you see how we kind of have the thicker grid lines here? Those will just be 1 hour, 2 hour, because this will just be 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, 1 hour. 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, you know, so we just can label these thicker grid lines our appropriate hours there. And so we'll just say hours worked down here. Now that we have everything labeled, plotted the points and the axes, we can actually plot our points. So you go up to the table above. I know you can't see it on my notes, but you can see it on your notes. The table above, 0.50 was that call out or dispatch fee. So we'll just go, no, we're on the x-axis, but we'll go up to the y-axis and plot that $50 that they're going to charge us no matter what. So it is the x-intercept there, right? And then if you look above, our next point we're going to plot is 2 hours, charges us $110. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 2 hours, and then we're going to go to 110. Remember, our vertical grids were just by $10 an hour. So if we go to 2 hours and we jump up to 100, we just go up one more grid line, and that's $110 right there. The next point that it gave us, guys, if you look above on your chart, was 5 hours worked. We were charged $200, okay? So we kind of skipped the 3 and 4 hours worked. So go over to 5. So 5 hours worked, and it goes all the way to 200. And I know that last point, guys, the 6 hours, we're kind of off the grid. But if you kind of wanted to sketch 1, 2, 3 grid lines above it, you could get the point there. Okay? So that's just me extending my y-axis a little bit. Each grid line was with 10, and when they worked 6 hours, they were charged $230. So I need to go 3 grid lines above my 200. And so it kind of, before we do it, I mean, I just want to jump to and I want to draw the line, but they don't tell us to do that. They just said plot your points. And if you look at number 4, it says what pattern seems to exist. What kind of shape are we forming? Are you guys agreeing that we're forming a line? Okay? So it says if you haven't done so already, go ahead and connect those dots. And I'm not very good at this, so don't judge. So we're forming a linear pattern there. We're forming a linear pattern. And you might ask yourself, well, yeah, isn't everything aligned? No. If you take college algebra, you're going to find that when we plot points, they can have a variety of shapes. They can have that arch shape, which is a parabola, which is quadratic. They can have that snake-like shape, which is like a cubic, and so forth. So when we plot points, they don't always perfectly have to be aligned. But anything like this where you work per hour, it's typically aligned because that slope is your hourly charge. So whether you're babysitting or working at a restaurant or whatever it may be, that per hour is usually going to be aligned. It doesn't always start at 0. You sometimes have that call out fee or whatever it may be. So what they want us to do to number 5 is just basically, now that you recognize it as a line, can you write it as an equation of a line? So remember, lines are y equals mx plus b. So y is the amount after you plug it all in. M is your slope, how much it changes per x. And then your b is just kind of your y-intercept. So let's look at this. It says UC for the amount charged. So this is how much we're going to be charged. So we're not actually going to calculate it. But once we come up with our line, we will be able to calculate it. It's the amount of hours worked that's going to be our variable, and they want us to use that for h. So instead of y equals mx plus b like this, they're going to want c equals mh plus b. Okay? So notice they just want us to use different variables to represent x and y. All right? So what we know is going to happen, what is our thing that's going to vary? It's how many hours he's there, but no matter what is he charging us per hour? What do we calculate in number 2? 30. So do you guys agree that we could do 30 times h? You guys agree that that's our $30 per hour that's going on there, right? But what can't we forget? That call out fee or that dispatch fee, no matter what is he charging us? 50. So do you kind of see the mx plus b forming there? Your per hour charge is your slope. So if you look at it, we didn't do it, but remember how it's like up and over, up and over? That slope is showing the $30 increase per hour that we go. So if you go from 1 hour to the next, notice we went up 1, 2, 3. That was a slope of 30. From 1 hour to the next, we went up 1, 2, 3. Notice that was a slope of 30, okay? So from point to point, there it is. What's the whole point of the line? Functions itself can always predict. So say he comes out and he is going to work for 6 hours. This is just showing that it works. But I can say, hey guys, he's working at my house for 4 hours. How much is he going to charge me? You can plug in H and figure out what he's going to charge. Instead of doing that, they just want us to make sure our equation is the correct equation. So we're going to plug in 6 for our H, and what do we hope pops out? We hope that 230 pops out, okay? So we'll do C equals $30 times our amount of hours, which is 6, plus our base or y-intercept of 50 there. When you do the math, what's 30 times 6? 180. And then what's 180 plus 50? The 230. So we know we came up with the correct line. Okay? Can you see that okay? I'm sure the arm's a little bit.
Yeah.
If you get that and you don't have any questions, go ahead and flip it over. Guys, we're going to just do one more that's very similar to it. The only difference is instead of a increasing value or a positive slope, we're going to have something that's going down, okay? And it's your car value. Has anybody bought a new car recently? They tell you how the second you drive that car off the lot, it depreciates like instantly, right? It's worth basically half its price the second you pull out of the lot. So let's see what's going on with Joe's truck. So it says scenario number 2. It's still Joe. His business is doing well, so he can buy a new truck. So it says Joe purchased a new car for $1,500 or $15,000. That'd be great. $15,000 a while back. For every month, every 4 months, he looks up his value because he's obsessed with the Kelley Blue Book price, all right? So every 4 months, he's looking up how much that car is worth. I don't know why you'd ever do that, guys. You would just get depressed every 4 months about how much your car is not worth. But notice we can do the same kind of thing that we did on the previous page. We can notice a pattern every 4 months that it's going down at a certain rate, okay? So when you look at this problem, how will we come up with how much his car is decreasing per month? It's not as easy as the front where they just were off by a month or an hour, right? How can we figure out this monthly decrease? What do we have to do? If we subtract one number from the other, right, we're going to find out how much it decreases in how many months? I heard it, say it louder. 4 months, right? So all we're going to do is we're going to subtract and we're going to find that gap, how much it decreases over 4 months. And then all we have to do is divide by 4, right, to figure out how much it decreases in a month, all right? It doesn't matter what 2 you choose, just make sure you pick consecutive, right, back to back. So I'm just going to pick these last 2 here. And I'm going to take my 12,600, sorry, my lead's trying to leave me, minus my 13,200, and subtract it and divide by 4, right? Because it's over 4 months that this is happening. What do you guys get when you take the 12,600 and subtract the 13,200? You get a negative 600, correct? But realize it's over 4 months, so how much is happening each month? It's going down 150 per month. So what does that mean? That means every month that he owns this car, it's losing $150 in value, okay? So guys, it's going to be exactly like what we did on the front page. Instead of an increasing line going up as the hours worked increase, we're going to have a decreasing line going down as the months pass, and our guy's basically worth nothing, okay? So they want us to do the same thing, guys, where the months pass is our X values, and the car value is our Y values, and they want us to plot these as ordered pairs. Again, they give us a hint on what to put our scale at. So it says start your X-axis at 12,000. So this is going to be kind of a misleading graph. So, I mean, if you wanted to kind of go like this and try to show that you took a chunk out, you can, but we're going to start at 12,000. And it says use a vertical scale of 200 per grid. Well, that means when we count 5 up, it's going to be another 1,000, right? So this is 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000. So we can label this 13,000 up here. And then 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000. This is 14,000. And then we can go all the way up to 15 and then 16. On the x-axis, it doesn't really matter, but we'll just do every grid line being a month past. And so this will be 5 months past, 10 months past, 15 months past, 20 months past, and so forth, okay? So this will be car value in dollars. This will be months past. I don't know why I have apostrophe. There's no. This will be Joe's car value. I should have labeled the first graph as well on the front, guys. Joe's charges for plumbing. Okay, so we're just going to plot the point. And actually, I probably could have jumped up a little bit because 15,000 easily makes it on here. He could have been at the top. But the first point, if you notice, months pass. When 0 months pass, the car is worth 15,000. So if 0 months have passed, the car is worth the 15,000. We're going to plot that initial y-intercept right there. Okay. Then we're going to count over 4 because it's 4 months past, but we've gone down to 14,400. Remember, each of these little blocks are worth 100. So here's 14,000. Here's month 4. We're going to go up to 100, 200, 300, 400 there. Or no, they go by 200s, don't they? So we're only going to go up 2. I apologize. They go up by 200s. So we're going to go over to 4 months, and then we're going to go up 200, 400 because it's worth 14,400. 8 months have passed, so I go to month 8, and now it's only worth 13,800. So that's 1 block south of the 14,000 because 13,800 is 200 off of the 14,000. So count over 1, 2, 3. So we're at over 8, and then you go up to 1 chunk south of the 14. 12 months have passed. We're going to go over to 10 and count over 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to go to 13,200. So only 1 block above the 13,000 because they are going counted by 200s. And then last but not least, 16 months have passed. So we're going to be 1 block past the 15. And then 12,600. We're at 12,000. We'll just count up 3 because it goes 200, 400, 600. So just be careful. Remember, each of your blocks are worth 200 vertically, okay? So this was 2 over, so that's 14,400. This was 2 below, so that was 13,800. This was 2 over, so that was 13,200. And then that was 2 under, so that's, or 3 under, right? No, just 2. So it's the 600. All right? Again, we haven't done it, but what can we do? We can connect the dots and notice that it's a linear pattern again, but it's decreasing. And I'm going to extend it past this x-axis because this x-axis is not 0, right? It's going to keep going down to eventually where it's worth nothing, okay? Can you come up with an equation for the line? You sure can, guys. All we're going to note is that this slope we already found up here. As every month passes, our value is going down 150. So we're going to just keep the negative with it. But we can't forget what it started off as initially. So instead of y equals mx plus b, we have v equals m times p plus b. Okay? Because p, oh no, big M. Sorry, how confusing can that be? For the months past, So we're going to have our slope. We know it's negative 150. The number of months past, we don't know. That's going to be our variable, m. And then that y-intercept is how much did it cost initially when he bought this car. So how much is it going down each month? And we're going to put that negative to show it's going down. And then the months past is m. But how much was it worth at the very beginning? 15,000. So remember, that's always going to be that y-intercept that you graph on the y-axis, right? It was 0.50 on the first page. It's 0.15,000 on the second. Number 10 just wants to make sure, guys, did we do it right? So if he owned it 16 months, we know it should be worth 12,600 based on Kelley Blue Book. So let's put 16 in and make sure that's the math we get. So we get V equals the negative 150 per month for the 16 months he owned it, but don't forget it started at 15,000. So what's 150 times 16? What is that when you guys do that? Negative, okay, so a big negative 2,400. Is everyone okay with that? So it went down 2,400 from the starting point of the 15,000. And what should that be when you add those together? The 12,600.